Hi, this is Vishal, and now we have another session of the day, that is how we can use the lifecycle events in our applications. And hope all are doing well. And I really appreciate your time to time likes and the comments on my videos. And whatever be your requirements, I will fulfill in my coming videos. And sure. And as per requirement, I will describe you today. That is the fourth uh, important component of the your Android architecture, that is the life cycle. So as per my previous tutorials, there were you can see that the view model, live data, and root already described to you, and but the life cycle I will just first we discuss about the basic things of the life cycle today, and then we can do the simple implementation. And on my other video, on I mean the next video of this session, I will describe you how we can do that with the view model and live data, and or also be with the room. So that means all four major components how they works together. But today just with the life cycle events and the basics of this, and that is importance of this life cycle we have discussed. And okay, let's see the doc of mm, mm, yeah. So one by one, I will describe you these four major components. The first one, I'll describe you the life cycle. The life cycle is a library which helps to manage the activity or the fragment life cycles, avoiding memory and resource leaks. So that is the most important thing, is that is avoiding the memory. That means the whatever be the memory leak, it we can solve these issues using these life cycle events. That is the most important task. And Android architecture components allows this management with the new lifecycle aware components under that. So that manage their own life cycle. So three major classes you have to put it in your mind. That is the life cycle owner, and the life cycle observer. These three, that is the most important thing. And how we can use the events with these using the observer or the owner or with the life cycle. That's the task I will describe you. So if you go for the live data, we already discussed about the live data. So today I'm not discussing about that again. And the view models, you know well, and the room. So if you have any issues, you can go for with my previous tutorials. Okay, so if you see that that is a very simple activity life cycle, or we can say that a fragment like that. The same life cycles be there. So the activity be first, the activity be launched. Then what happen? We go for the on create, on start, on resume, and then activity is running. And if we go for the pause, we go that is on the pause. Then again it is on resume, and then on the stop. So finally, and then destroy. So this is the way. But generally what happen in my if you see that your previous applications, the major task or a major code we are doing in an activity, and whatever we want we anything on that activities, that means the lot of code be there. And sometimes if you see that is a lot of data load on that, and memory leaks on that. So that's the scene in our previous apps, or we can say the drawbacks. So how we can use it, how we can make it easy, so the task be on under the lifecycle aware components. Because of before that, that is we are not aware about these things, and uh, lot of issues with our apps. But nowadays it's these four components make our life very easy, and make these apps very easy, because of the lifecycle aware components perform the actions in response to change in the lifecycle status. And okay, so just describe you, you can learn from this from my doc. So what happened? So the major importance, or you have to give attention on these points, because of the keep your UI controller as lean as possible. Okay, and they should not try to acquire their own data instead of use a view model to do that. Means whenever you work with your UI, so make it very lightweight, and you have to show only the whatever be your view, just like your edit text buttons. You just go for the input or output, and everything, every logic, and your functioning mostly you have to work with the view model as I described you in my previous tutorial. And whenever you want to data, so that is the notification, and that comes with our live data. And if you have any issue, you can see that how we can extend the view model in my previous video tutorial, and how we can use the live data on that. And the second major point is try to write data driven UI, where UI controllers responsibilities to update the views as data changes. So this theory I have seen somewhere, so that's very good theory. I have noticed, so that's good. So put your data logic in your view model class, and view model should serve as the connector between your UI controller and the rest of your app. And use the data binding to maintain the clean interface. Why we use the data binding? That is to maintain the clean interface between your views and your UI controller. So that's the thing. And other, if you have any issues with your data bindings, or you feel that, so you can use the library also, that is the butter knife. But I think it's good if you go with the data binding if you want to learn something actually. And if you have a UI is a complex, consider creating a presenter class to handle UI modification, that I describe you how we can do the presenter. You can use that under the variable, and make your events on that, put your events on that, and can do the things easily. So this is the important points you have to learn for whenever you work with these new architecture components. Okay, so now we come on the life cycle. So what is the life cycle? Life cycle is a very simple, it is a class, and that holds the information about the life cycle state of the component, and allow other objects to observe this state. So as I describe you about the activity life cycle, the same thing we have here. Because of that activity life cycle or the fragment life cycle be under this life cycle as in the fourth major component. So that means everything should be do within under your life cycle, so you can avoid the memory leaks in your applications. Because of the event we filed under the life cycle is very uh, make the application very easy, and they are very useful to stop, pause, resume, and create things or start the things. Okay, and the lifecycle events that are dispatched from the framework and the lifecycle classes, these events map to the callback events in the activities and the fragments. Okay, and I will describe you. Yeah, you can see this the important diagram as I described you previously, that if you go for your activity and the fragment, and we have covered the view models be there, we have covered the repository, and that repository be nothing, that is your data access models or data manager class that interact with your room or your web services as I described. And then if you go for the life cycle of the live data, you can see that it parallelly work with the activity, between the activity and the view model. That means between your UI and the view model. So whenever you work with your life cycle, that means you have to put these things in under the events. How we can do, I will show you. So this is the life cycle, and you can see that whatever be the life cycle of activity is simple, that is on create, on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, and on destroy be there. The same thing under our life cycle event, and everything we should do under the control of the life cycle. And what about the lifecycle observer? Whenever we fire these events, just like your on lifecycle event, on create, on lifecycle event, on start, so that is your observer that observe your lifecycle. So these parallelly works with your activity and with your view model. So I will describe you how it works with the activity. Then on my second tutorial, I will describe you with the view model with your activity. Okay. So so these things be important, and that you can learn or can read. I will upload it on the GitHub, so you can learn that. Okay, and yeah. So the event, what is an event on the life cycle? So what is a simple event? An event is a life cycle event that has been triggered by the life cycle changes. So whenever on create happen, it event fire. Whenever be the on start happen, this event fire. In our classes, we can implement callbacks for our each of these events, so that we can handle the life cycle changes. Okay, So just like as you see that on lifecycle event on stop, on lifecycle event on start. So that's the thing. And if you go with these lifecycle events, we have on any. This event will be triggered upon any lifecycle event. On create whenever be the event, on create whenever be the lifecycle, on create be there, on destroy be there, that we have a on destroy. If we go for the pause, there will be a lifecycle of honor, that is on pause, on resume, on start, and on stop. Only one event is extra, that is on any, that we can fire anywhere. Okay, and the most important thing is the add observer and the remove observer. So what is the add observer? Using the methods, we can add a new instance of the lifecycle observer classes, which will be notified whenever your lifecycle owner changes the state. And whenever you have to remove it, you can use the remove observer. So whenever you want to add it, you can use it. Whenever we use the life cycle, we can add this observer, and whenever we have to no longer use, that means we have to remove observer. So that's the easy. And how we can add and how we can remove, I will show you in my practical. And the lifecycle owner dot get lifecycle dot add observer this. Okay, so as I seen practicals be on the Google, that there be the locations manager, a practical be there, how this lifecycle be used on with the location manager. So there be two or three practicals, more practicals be there, just like how we can achieve this. So today I describe you the same location manager and how we can do that with this life cycle. But you can learn this, that we, if you have a video component and you want to use these things, that component be as an on start and on pause and on resume, so you can uh, use this with the life cycle events very easily. Okay, so first we go for the practical on Android Studio, in which I will describe you today how we can use it, the simple location manager with this lifecycle event and with the data binding techniques. So come on Android Studio and let's see the example. Okay, so let us start in our Android Studio. So here we have a simple layout in which we have to work. So the design is the latitudes and the longitude. Okay, and the first thing is we have to work, that is your these dependencies we need it, that is the lifecycle view model, lifecycle live data, but we are not working with that. So just I'm using for the future video, so just use this view model, live data, and lifecycle compiler. That is the most important, because of annotation processors for the lifecycle compiler we need it, and also be the lifecycle extensions. So these things be, and the other thing is data binding enable is equals to true. So that I will upload this project and the doc, so you can learn that. Okay, on the GitHub. Okay, so this is the activity main in which we have to work. So for first and more foremost thing is here you have to create the layout. Either you are working with the view model or not, but the layout is important for the data binding, otherwise you miss the uh, view model main activity binding class name be there. So that is the most important. Either you can give the class name here on the data, and otherwise just simply automatically it be created for the main activity be there. Okay, so now we have to put this at the bottom, and also what we have to do, we have to use this complete on the layout. Okay, and no need of the variable, but at this time I'm making empty, because of on my future video I will use the view model be here, so just leave it at this time. And on the main activity, if you see that we go for the private activity, yes, that is the class main binding activity main binding, because of that is important, and without main activity main binding we never be bind our data. So if you miss this, then you can once You can rebuild the project, you can find it. And the second step is your activity main binding, that is the data binding util. I think this you already be worked many times. And r dot, okay, sorry, this is the data binding util dot set content, and this is your r dot layout dot activity main. Okay, and okay, so that's the things. Okay, now that's good. Okay, so make a first class for the lifecycle events, that is we are working with as the latitude and longitude as in a simple example. So just create a Java class that is your user location. So under the user location, what we have to do, you just simply work with this class and just say that's implements as in a lifecycle observer. Yes, this is the class, and but I am this time making the interface be here. So this is the user location and we have to implement it. And what we need it, we need a context as in a context, and also we need it the two important major classes for the location manager, reference, and this is your private location. The second thing is we have to put the listener, so this is your location listener. Now we have to call this, so we need a constructor user location, and under the constructor you first find you have to put the first thing is that is your life cycle owner, because of who is the owner of this life cycle, that means which activity is the owner of this life cycle. So that is the life cycle owner. And second is a context we here. For this reference we have to use this life cycle owner, and this is your location listener and location listener. And as I told you in my doc, that the important thing is you have to put the life cycle owner get lifecycle dot add observer. That is the most important line whenever we use this your lifecycle owner, you use the get lifecycle and your add observer on this. Okay, and if you go for the context, that is your context, so easy. And this dot location listener is your location listener, everything is fine. Okay, and now we have to go for our events for the life cycle. So what to do, we need to add this life cycle, that means at the where is the present location. So for this we have to make a function public void your add location listener, where it is. So for this what we have simple, that means okay, so before this I will show you that how the lifecycle event be fired. So you can say that is at on lifecycle event, you can see that here, and this is your life. At this time I'm using this is, you can see that all be there, event on create, event on any, destroy, on pause, on resume. I'm working with first on my the resume, so say on resume, and this is your red line till you create your method below that. So you have to create the same method just like a public void add location listener. So that means your on resume method be here, and we can say that this is the log.day. This is our on resume method. Okay, and the same thing we have to fire on this, that is your add on lifecycle event, and you can say it lifecycle event on pause. So I will make it a second method that we have to remove the location, and under that you just put it this log and copy paste it, and you can say that this is on pause. Okay, and if you want to get the tag be here, that is the location tag, you have to put location tag. Okay, so simple. And now we have to work with this add location listener. So what happened on that? The first time, if you go with the location listeners, you have to put the location manager as a now. Your location manager, uh, in which context we are using, and that's your that dot gets your system service and context dot your location service. Simple. And after that you have to create a request location updates. That's it. Whenever we use it in a simply, so that is your location manager dot request location updates, and location manager dot GPS provider comma 0 comma 0, that is your first location update at an 0, and this is your location listener. This is the red line, so I will describe you why it is. And now we have to make this location where it is the location. So this is a location be here as in a location manager dot your get last non-location. Okay, and we have to find this is the location manager dot GPS provider. So by this we have to find, and also if your location be not equal to null, so what to do, we use the location listener dot on location change, and this is your location. So that means whenever it works, that means when a listener be happen, it changes, it always be listen the location change. Okay, so that's the things. But here sometimes you can see there is a access course locations or the access fine locations be permissions issues be there. So what to do in our new Android Studio, you can just use it as on your suppress warnings. Okay, so these your warnings we have to cover, and you can say that is a missing permission. So you can see that both the lines be removed, and we have to remove the location listener now. So for that, what to do, you just go for as in if location manager is equals to null, and at that time what happens, this is your location manager dot you have to remove updates, remove yeah, you have to remove your updates. For that means your location listener, and also be you have to put it as a null, so that's your location listener b is equals to null. So It's again, you can see that the same issue be there. So say suppress warning, and you can say it you're missing location. Sorry, missing permission. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so this line will remove also. So that's be a simple your add and remove listener whenever you want to work with that. Now we have to go for your main activity and everything is fine here. So we have to create a method. But I don't want to create this method here. I just showed to you that how we can use it because of the good way is to work with the view model. But at this time it is the very first tutorial of the lifecycle event. So I describe you how you can use it on your main activity, and then we'll describe you how we can make it on your view models because of maximum functions you have to work on your view models. Okay, so for this you have to create your private void your you can say it is a bind location listener method, and under that you have to call your user location as in a user location. It is a new user location, and for this we have to use the observer lifecycle owner because of this is the owner of the lifecycle, and this is your main activity dot this is the context of this, and you can say this is your new location listener, and you can see that there's the implementation of these methods be here. So that is on location change be work and on states change be work. So whenever you have to work with this your location listener and location manager, you have to access the things here, and yeah, every method be here, you just put it the semicolon and call this function be here. This is your binding location listener on create. So whenever we have to bind location listener, it automatically works with the user location, and user location works with your resume and the pose method. So do not need to work with the on create, on pose, on resume. These things be on your activity, so very less code be there. So what to do? Okay, so whenever we your location change, that means if you find that your location be something, so you can go for the activity mean binding. This is your latitude, and you can set your text be there, and that text be as an location dot get, but is get uh, latitude. Okay, on the second time what we have to do, shift, and that means you have to copy paste, and you can say it is a longitude, so you can say it is a get longitude. Okay, so now we have to display these things, but before that two important things be here, that is on manifest we have to add. Number one is use permission for the internet, and use permission for your location. Access find location, so that works. Okay, and now we have to start our journey motion and see what happened. Okay, so it's there. Okay, no problem, we'll work on that. So just run it, very simple. Let's see what happened. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, so there you can see that This is a 65.966 and this is GPS. If you have a you have to on your GPS be there if it is off. Okay, so that's the simple task we have done using your user locations and your main activity. So whenever we use this, that means your binding locations listeners, so it becomes so easy to work with that. But the best approaches is, again, I'm saying that with the user your view models, we have to extend the view models and the live data, that I will describe you all four components together in my coming videos with the more lifecycle events. So first you have to practice these basic things, and thank you so much for the day, and we have to wind up. Thanks.